Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Speed Mooting Podcast, Partners in Crime. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And today we've been chatting about a number of different items. So we started by talking about my week in court.
And John also gave us an overview of what a sentencing hearing is.
I discussed the difference in the day-to-day life of a barrister versus a solicitor.
We talked about our involvement at Liverpool Speakers Club and how you can get involved in a local club near you.
And stemming on from that, we discussed how important it is to have good communication skills for a career in the law.
We talked about what is coming up at Speed Mooting, including our competition and our advocacy club.
And lastly, we finished by talking about our upcoming mooting course. So it was a fun episode. We enjoyed recording it. We hope you enjoy listening.
Welcome to the podcast.
Okay, hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Partners in Crime podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley. So what sports F1 driver is this episode being named after?
Well, it's a special one today. So episode 6. So we've 2 to choose from for number 6. And I'm going to go with Nico Rosberg.
Who was the other choice?
Nico Rosberg! Nicholas Latifi is the alternative.
Okay.
Okay, but let's go with Nico Rosberg because technically he's got an argument to say he's the best of all time.
Okay. Bold statement.
You look curious there, Hayley.
Oh,
Why is that?
so curious.
Well, on paper, who are the best 2 of all time?
Schumacher.
And Lewis Hamilton.
Oh. Is he
Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher, both 7 times world champions, more world titles than anyone. Mm-hmm. Nico Rosberg beat both of them in equal machinery.
Ah.
So, Nico, you can go around and say he's the GOAT. So there we are. So episode 6, the Nico Rosberg special.
Boom.
So it's a bit of a German theme so far. We had Vettel last week, Rosberg this week.
Yeah.
Whom could it be next
Who
week
will
for
be
number
next?
7?
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
So we're here, we're refreshed and ready to go. We had a lovely little bank holiday weekend, didn't we?
We certainly
Just to
did.
recharge.
Absolutely.
For those who watched last week's episode, we didn't get to the monkey park.
Certainly not. The weather wasn't looking great for Monday, was it, Hayley?
It actually turned out really, really nice, didn't it?
I know. Disappointing in the end, so who knows, but then again, there was always the risk of being caught in M6 traffic on a bank holiday, so...
At least we got the hot tub washed.
Absolutely. So that was fun, and the weather's picking up. The sun's cracking the flag, so hopefully we'll have a few more hot tub sessions.
It's insane, like, how much of a difference it makes when the sun is out and it's
really
light when you wake up. It's not... You can go for a walk at 9, 10 o'clock at night and it's still light. It just changes everything.
It really does. It's amazing.
What's that place where it's, like, dark, like, 6 months out of a year?
Norway.
Oh, I couldn't live in Norway.
Oh, that'd be hard, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine.
So it's a new week, a new working week. So what have you been up to so far, John?
So, it's been a short one this week, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. So I was doing a first appearance on a motoring case yesterday. So I think we spoke about first appearances.
It was either the last one or the one before. We've definitely gave a good run through of first appearances.
Certainly spoken about them. Today I was doing a sentencing hearing in the Crown Court. It was effectively 3 cases that were combined together. So many counts on this indictment actually. So quite a tricky case actually. But I was dealing with the sentencing hearing. So the way in which a sentencing hearing takes place is the prosecutor opens the case and effectively reads out the facts of the case to the court. They'll read out any victim impact statements as well, and they'll also indicate to the court where they think the offence falls within the sentencing guidelines as well. Quite often in the Crown Court, what you'll see is a sentencing opening note. So quite often judges will ask for it, and even if they don't, a lot of prosecutors will generally draft these documents and put them up.
Yeah.
It's really helpful for the judge. It's also really helpful for me as a defence barrister as well, so I can know exactly how they're going to open it, but most importantly where they categorise the offence. So once the prosecutor has opened the case, it's then my turn to present a plea and mitigation. So what I have to do is I have to outline any mitigating factors on behalf of my client and effectively ask the court for the best possible outcome. So the sentencing hearing is where you will see a plea in mitigation. But yeah, so very, very common, very frequent. If you go into any court, any magistrates or Crown Court on a given day, you're likely to see a plea in mitigation in at least one of the courtrooms there. So a very common form of advocacy.
I wonder if there's anywhere you can go to practice plea and mitigation.
Well, you should ask Hayley. We at Speed Mooting have a plea and mitigation competition next month on the 1st of June, completely online. So anyone worldwide, quite frankly, can take part. And it's nice and straightforward. We send all the papers the night before, all the material. So there's no research, no drafting. It's simply read the papers, prepare, and present your plea and mitigation the following day. So, as I say, it's a really practical form of advocacy, because if you go into criminal law, whether you're a solicitor or whether you're a barrister, you'll be doing frequent pleas and mitigation. So a really practical piece of advocacy.
Yep.
Or if a competition format isn't for you, or you just simply want some practice of the plea and mitigation, we cover that form of advocacy at the Advocacy Club as well.
We certainly do.
So cheeky plug there, but check out speedmooting.com and you'll see all about it.
It's got to be done.
Absolutely.
So in your plea and mitigations then, in real life and practice, have you ever encountered a scenario where it's like, what am I going to say? There's no mitigating factors for this person? Or do you...
Yes. Yeah, it does happen occasionally.
You got to really think outside the box.
Yeah, you got to think outside the box. Particularly if your client is convicted at trial and then you're presenting a plea and mitigation afterwards, they can be quite tricky. And also sometimes some clients just don't have many mitigating factors and they are very, very tricky.
Yeah.
So as you say, you've got to be very clever and effectively look for any way, any clever way that you can try and persuade the judge to move down within the bracket and go towards the lower end. The rest of the week, a few more sentences, so quite a heavy week on sentences this week. And then I have a trial on Friday.
Nice.
So yeah, a
one-day trial, is that?
Just a one-day trial. It's in the magistrates' court, so a motoring case.
Oh, cool.
So 10 to 5 with my practice. It's split equally between motoring cases in the magistrates' court and general crime in the Crown Court as well. So I have a nice split to my practice, and I really enjoy that, to be honest, because a lot of criminal lawyers, you know, you talk about motoring to them and they say, oh no, I don't like that, you know, too technical, whatever. So some people just absolutely hate motoring, and I really enjoy it because of the technicality of it. You know, quite often you're dealing with black letter law there. You're looking at where the procedures have been dealt with. You're looking at how various regulations have been complied with, particularly on speeding cases. You know, you're going through regulations there. So I like the tricky element of it. You know, quite often we're drafting skeleton arguments in relation to these motoring cases. So I thoroughly enjoy it from that point of view. And then you've got your general cases in the Crown Court, which quite often are very fact heavy. So it's all about how well witnesses give evidence and how you handle those witnesses. So a nice variety to the practice. Yeah.
We were talking recently that you've got a large trial booked in for later in the summer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's going to be several weeks, that one.
Yeah. So we just got to thinking, didn't we, about how different the day-to-day life of a barrister is versus a solicitor. And this big trial is one big example, isn't it? Because you're going to have to stay in a hotel room for best part of 2-3 weeks.
That's it. Yeah. So I'm away from home for a good few weeks. I probably come home for the weekends, but gonna be like a travelling salesman or something, you know. So I'm going to be on the road for a few weeks, staying in a hotel. And as you say, that's the big difference from when I was a solicitor, because as a solicitor, my time would be spent in the office and in court. So, you know, I wouldn't really be able to do weeks and weeks on end at trial. So you might do a few days in the office, a few days in court, and even the days when you're in court, if you finish early, you'll come back and you've got your paperwork to do.
Yeah.
Whereas as a barrister, you know, I'm self-employed, I work for myself, and the focus is very much on advocacy. So I can specialise in that, so I can take the time to travel away, do a few weeks on the road, and also there's no limit to where I go. So I think I do a few thousand miles a month, don't I?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, as you say, big difference there to life as a barrister versus life as a solicitor.
Yeah.
As a solicitor, you know, you're pretty much going to be in one place for the majority of the time, or home and office, so maybe 2 places, but you don't spend too much time on the road. Where a barrister, you're pretty much living on the road for a large part of the time.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I suppose it depends on your practice. So there might be some barristers that have a steady stream of work just in their local courts. Luckily for me, I've got good relationships with solicitors nationwide, so I tend to be sent all over the place.
Yeah.
And for me, I thoroughly enjoy that because I like to be in a different place all the time, seeing different faces, chatting to different people, seeing how even just the sort of conventions in different courts can be different. So it's nice for me to go around and see different places.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being on the road. I think for me personally, if I was stuck in the same court all the time,
you get bored.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I like variety, so I enjoy being in different courts. And even just the fact that I'm in the magistrates' court sometimes and the Crown Court sometimes, even just that variety is nice for me. But being on the road, it's I enjoy it. And it's nice to just, spend a couple of hours in the morning on my own, relaxing, listening to a podcast, whatever it might be, whilst I travel to court.
Dave Ramsey.
I'm no debt Dave.
Okay, so it's Tuesday afternoon right now. Wednesday. As I said that, I was like, that's not right, is it? I'm losing my marbles because of the bank holiday.
It's the bank holiday, it puts us all off.
So it's Wednesday afternoon now. So we're filming this. Might go for a little walk afterwards because it's looking nice and sunny out. And then this evening we're off to Liverpool Speakers Club for a Speakers Club meeting. So for those of you that don't know, John is the president of Liverpool Speakers Club. And he roped me in to be the club secretary as well, as if we don't have enough to do.
Yeah, it's not like we're that busy, is it, really?
No, definitely not. But yeah, we can talk a little bit about the Speakers Club because I mentioned in a post really that's a really good thing that students and aspiring lawyers can do to mingle and to build upon the communication skills.
It's a great thing to get involved with. So I found the Speakers Club not long after finishing the bar course. Funnily enough, contestants on Countdown mentioned he was in the Speakers Club. My mum saw that, mentioned it to me, and then lo and behold, we attended the next meeting. And the Liverpool Speakers Club is part of the Association of Speakers Clubs. So wherever you are nationwide, the chances are there will be a local Speakers Club to you in your city, your town, etc. And it's all about helping people develop their public speaking skills. And actually, it's not just that. They help you develop other skills, so leadership skills and things of that nature. But the key focus really is on public speaking. So at each meeting, various members will perform a prepared speech, and all of those speeches will be evaluated. And then other members have the opportunity to practice what's called a topic, so a hidden speech. So they won't know what the topic is on. They'll see the name of the topic and they've got 5 seconds to have a think and then deliver a speech of up to 3 minutes. So it's all about that skill of thinking on your feet, which is vital as a lawyer.
Yes.
If you're in court and a judge asks you a question, you need to be able to think of an answer, or even as a solicitor, if a client asks you a tricky question, you need to be able to give some form of answer to your client, whether it's the right answer or even if it's just, well, that's a tricky point, never dealt with that, let me do some research on it, or whatever the answer might be. So quite often in this profession, no matter what type of lawyer you are, you need the ability to think on your feet, which is something we develop. But it's a tight-knit community, isn't it, Hayley?
It really is. And as John said, there's different clubs up and down the country, and we each have our individual meetings. So the Liverpool Speakers Club meets once a month. But we also mingle with the other clubs. So we were in Stockport last week.
Yeah.
So we went to the Stockport Ladybrook Speakers Club and John judged one of their competitions for them. We had our Christmas party last year and people from clubs up and down the country came to that. Competitions, you do big competitions each year, don't you?
We do, yeah.
And it all leads into one huge final that takes place. So I think it was Cardiff year before last, and
it was Glasgow
a few weeks ago. Yeah, so
Manchester next year.
Manchester coming up in next year. We'll be in Manchester. With the Association of Speakers Clubs. But if you're looking for something else to try, that's something really, really easy that you can get involved in.
Yeah, and that's it. And most clubs tend to invite people in for free for their first few sessions while you're just getting a feel for the club, seeing if you enjoy it. And then I think the cost of membership is not even that high. And as a student, you get an even further reduced rate. So it's not even that expensive to join most clubs. But it's a great way of developing your public speaking skills whilst you're a student.
Yeah.
And a great way of networking with a really diverse range of people, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge mix. I mean, there definitely is a fair few lawyers in there because it just naturally lends itself to people in that profession, but huge mix of other people as well.
Yeah, you're seeing everything from students through to retired people.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy going to the Speakers Club.
Yeah.
Been a member for 11 years now.
Yes. Yeah, so 11 years you've been a member.
11 years.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You did a speech recently, didn't you, talking about your journey, and then afterwards you pulled your barrister's wig out and plopped that on your head. It was really, really good. But why don't you just tell us a bit about what led you to join in the first place? I know you said you found it on Countdown.
Yeah, definitely. So, as I say, it must have been about 5 or 6 months after I'd finished the bar course, and the only real advocacy or public speaking I'd done to that point was any advocacy I completed on the bar course, so the few classes and then the advocacy exams. And then obviously at this point I was applying for pupillage, and many of the forms say, why would you make a good barrister, or tell me about your public speaking experience, etc. And it's very, very hard to gain such experience. Certainly when I was at university and on the bar course, I found very few external opportunities. So when I saw this come along, I thought, wow, this is perfect for me. This is a chance to go in, build up my confidence, number one, but also develop my public speaking skills, because effectively it had been, as I say, nearly 6 months since finishing the bar course. I'd not performed any form of public speaking or advocacy in that time, because where can you do anything like that?
Yeah.
So I thought, this is perfect. I'll go in, I'll build those skills, and hopefully this will help me develop the skills that I need to embark upon a career at the bar. So that was why I joined. And as I say, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. The way in which we work at the Speakers Club as well, we've got a manual, and you'll work through 10 stages of the manual, so 10 different aspects of public speaking. And it starts from just making a start, which is just do a speech, through to the masterpiece. And for each aspect of the manual, you work on something different. And I was just so engrossed. I was just, every month I would be like, I want to do another speech, just to churn my way through this manual. And
so it was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, and I was just enjoying seeing the development as well in myself. Within a couple of months, I was a different speaker. I was so much more confident and so much more dynamic in the way that I was actually speaking, and really getting to the point that I was enjoying it, because when you've not got that skill and not got the confidence, public speaking isn't as enjoyable. And I think that's why a lot of people are quite nervous. So I think I overcame that quite quickly. So that's why I joined. And I think the big thing is, I'm talking about this from an advocacy point of view, but it's your general communication skills that improve as well.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me professionally, because at the time I was working with working as a paralegal. You're dealing with other professionals within the firm, you're dealing with clients, so you need to be able to communicate well and in a professional manner. And I think that the Speakers Club really helped me in that regard.
Brilliant. As we said, it's a brand new month. We had a lovely bank holiday to rest and recharge, and
indeed.
We've got another good month coming up at Speed Meeting, haven't we?
We certainly have. So this month, obviously we've got the run up to our plea and mitigation competition.
Yep.
And also a couple more advocacy club sessions as usual. So we've got our legal session and our public speaking session. So obviously at the public speaking session, people are going to be practicing their speeches, and it's always interesting to see the different topics that people come up with, because some are legal, some are non-legal.
It's interesting as well. We're getting a fair mix now of people joining the public speaking club that aren't from a legal background, because that is open to anybody, isn't it? Anybody in any industry that just wants to improve their public speaking for whatever reason. And it's nice to see we are getting a couple of more people that aren't lawyers or aspiring lawyers now. Yeah,
and I think that's important, isn't it? Because you can feel, as though you're being a bit siloed when you're just mingling with other people in the legal profession. So, it's nice for those in the club to network with people from outside of the law, and it just gives them something else to talk about as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then the legal session is going to be the civil submissions advocacy.
Yep.
Which is massively important, I think, because a lot of people, when they finish their professional studies, whether it's the LPC or the bar course, end up paralegaling for some time. And as a paralegal, you can go to the county court and perform advocacy in the district judge's chambers, which is something I did, and I know a lot of people do whilst they're applying for training contracts and pupilages. So you will often be performing civil submissions advocacy. So it's a really important skill to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to develop here. We're trying to give people a very practical problem that they would see at that level, and how they would approach that, how they can perform those submissions fluently to a judge.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all transferable skills as well, isn't it? Regardless of whether we're practicing something civil, something criminal, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's great if you go into that area. Of course, you're going to be a few steps ahead because you've already practiced those things that you're going to be doing day to day. But even if you don't, if you end up doing a completely different area of law, all the skills that you've picked up with us in the advocacy club, you'll take on with you because they're all completely transferable.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I was doing that for a certain amount of time, but then ended up getting my training contract in crime.
Yeah.
But a lot of the skills I built up from the civil world were quite transferable. You know, I did a lot of drafting, so quite often I was drafting particulars of claim, quite often I was drafting applications, things of that nature, and that helped me when I came to qualify, for example. So, you know, I'd be required to draft a defence statement or, you know, a skeleton argument, for example. And because civil was very document heavy, I was doing a lot of drafting, that skill came along with me.
Yeah, definitely. So another thing we've released, because it is a new month, is the next edition of our newsletter. It's gone out to all of our mailing list members.
It has.
So once again, if you're not a member of our mailing list and you want to receive that newsletter, as well as details of anything we launch before anybody else does, then go to speedmooting.com/contact and you can join our mailing list. So yeah, it was another fun edition of the newsletter this month. So all the usual stuff in there, recaps of what we're doing, what's going on, and also our new segments as well, which is the Commercial Awareness Corner. So we talk a little bit about the rent reform bill that's coming up, and learning the law, which we detailed a little bit about the plea and mitigation this month.
We did indeed.
So especially if you're taking part in the competition, you're probably going to want a copy of that newsletter.
Always worth having a read. So obviously we've got our Commercial Awareness Corner, which hopefully, you know, provides our readers with some information about what might be coming up and what's actually practical. But commercial awareness, it's one of those words, isn't it? That
it's a buzzword, isn't it?
Buzzword, you hear it all the time. Oh, you've got to have it. Will help you with commercial awareness, but there's never really much information on what does it mean. What does it mean in reality? And I think, from my point of view, commercial awareness is understanding the practicality of the type of law that you're going into. So I think it's understanding, you know, regardless of whether it's a criminal law, whether it's commercial law, whether it's PI, etc., knowing who your client base is, what their needs are. So,
well, use real estate for an example. That's a good one. So what sector are all your clients in? They're in the property sector, they're in the real estate sector. But what other sectors cross over with real estate? So sometimes the educational sectors, the retail sectors, they all merge together. So that's a big thing of understanding what's important to those clients and what's happening within those sectors. So what's in the news, what's going on, how can that impact your clients? Yeah. How's it going to impact your chambers, your firm?
You've taken the words out of my mouth there, because that's the next thing. You think about your firm, for example. How does your firm get paid? What is the payment model there? Is it a sort of no-win, no-fee where costs are claimed at the end? Is it something where you're billing your client on a fixed fee? Is it something where you're billing the client hourly? So you also need to understand that, because at the end of the day, your law firm is a business. They are there to be paid. So you need to be obviously providing the best service that you can for your client, but also operating in a manner that's profitable for your firm as well. So you need to understand the commercial realities for your clients, ultimately what their goal is, and at the same time understanding how your firm, your chambers, etc., can best profit from the industry.
Yeah.
And I think a good example I heard someone say a while ago was, you know, you need to think about not just what the law is in relation to a problem, you need to think about the commercial realities. So I think it might have been someone I was chatting to on this podcast said, you know, think about a neighbour dispute. A cricket ball goes from one neighbour's garden into the next neighbour's garden, smashes a conservatory. Oh yeah, you could sue them, you can go and issue a claim, but you've got to think about, well, that person's got to live next to them. Is that the most sensible option right away? So that's a small scale example of a commercial problem. So, whilst yes, in law you could probably sue that person, you might have a good claim, etc. Is that the best option financially? Because it might not be so cost effective to sue that person for one pane of glass.
Yeah.
And likewise, you've got to think about what's going to happen to these people need to live next to each other afterwards. And likewise, in a commercial relationship, if you're going around suing people, then it might be affecting business down the line. So it's thinking about the practical side of problems as well, not just the legal side.
No, definitely. And I know from the civil lit world, that's a huge part of what we do is advisory work. And we often do advise, these are your legal options. You can sue, you can bring insolvency proceedings, you can do X, Y, and Z. But what's commercially sensible is often very, very different.
Yes.
And we have a lovely phrase we like to say, which is throwing good money after bad money. But sometimes with the court systems as well and the cost recovery risks, etc., most people are adverse to litigation for that reason.
Yeah.
And that's all comes back to what you say, John, about thinking commercially and helping your clients think commercially as well. So, as I say, we're filming this on Wednesday, but when we release this on Friday, that's going to coincide with a new event that we're launching.
It certainly is.
Do you want to do the honours, John, and announce what that event is?
I'll talk about that. So yes, Hayley, this Friday we are launching our online mooting course. We did one last year and it was very popular, so we thought we'll run another this year. So it will take place online on Wednesday the 19th of June. It'll be in the evening, and I will be running the course. So I'll be talking people through various tips in relation to mooting. So firstly, what a moot is, how to prepare for a moot, and also how to perform advocacy at a moot. So obviously we have a very specific style at speed mooting whereby submission time is limited, preparation is limited because we provide all the skeleton arguments and the case law, etc. But I'll be talking about this from the point of view of a traditional moot, so I will talk about the actual drafting, the research, etc. And at the end of the session, I will be taking questions from those in attendance as well. So hopefully it should be an interesting session for those that attend, and hopefully very worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. And it's free to attend. It's open to everybody. So you might be wanting to get involved for mooting at the first time and want to know a little bit more. Or you might be an experienced mooter, but you just want a refresher on the basics, and you want the opportunity to pick a barrister's brains about mooting and about advocacy. So we hope to see lots of you there. And if you want to reserve your place and receive the link, then again, just visit our website,
speedmooting.com/mooting-course.
Boom.
If you can't remember all of that, speedmooting.com, follow the link and you'll find the page.
Yes.
So I think that brings us towards the end of another one, Hayley.
Certainly does. We're flying through them.
We're flying 6 episodes in now. Wow. Won't be long before we're up to the 10th episode.
Yep, and we've got a couple booked in with our other segment, Conversations with Counsel.
Yes.
So we've filmed a few, we're going through the editing process now. We've got some more booked in, so pretty soon it won't just be John and I talking to you for 20 minutes, half an hour. You'll also get to see John interviewing some members of the legal profession as well.
Yeah, and as always, any questions that you might have, feel free to send them in. Our email address, it's info@speedmooting.com, or you can direct message us on any of our social medias. We're always at speedmooting. That's the end of this one, I guess. So it's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Have you enjoyed it, Hayley?
I've enjoyed it, John.
Good to hear. And until next time.
Bye.